Looking at receiving on the mobile apps, there's a couple of ground rules that we need to set. You would create your purchase order just like normal. It is useful to put in the number of units on the pallet as well as the number of pallets, which would be calculated if you put in the units of the pallet. And when the labels are printed, you will see that they come out something like this. These are case labels which encode the lot number and a UPC number if it exists. And then there's also the pallet labels. The pallet labels next to this 37 would include the number of units on the pallet. And this will be important as we look at actually scanning. So now let's look at the device. I've gone ahead and logged in for expediency. Your users would not see all of these options if they weren't licensed for all of these. We'll click on receiving, and I have two purchase orders that I'd like to work on. Now, I've printed out the receiving card, which looks something like this and has a barcode on it. So this will allow us to easily pull up that order on the mobile device. I put one in for the 13th. Let me see if it scans. So even though this particular purchase order is due in on the 13th, I can scan it any day and it will bring up the order. From there, I can take the pallet labels I've printed off that I've put in the quantity on the pallet and scan those. Automatically it will bring up the screen for me to receive on, and it also scanned 50 because I had said that there were 50 on a pallet for this order. I can keep scanning as I get to 100 or to 200. And at that point, I can decide whether or not I want to put the product on hold, mark it as received. It will automatically mark it as received in this particular instance if I've met the quantity. If it's going to be less than, so let's pull up another item. And automatically it's put 50 in here. But if that's all I'm going to receive, I'll just mark it as received. Now, if I come back to the purchase order within FreshBite, you'll see those two lines that I received on the device are now marked received in FreshBite. You do have the ability in this screen if you would like to close the line if you're not going to receive any quantity at all, or if you just want to mark the whole thing as received, you can mark it as received there. So it will say that we ordered and received 250 cases. If I find that I've messed up the receiving and I just want to start over, I can swipe and hit reset. And after I'm done with that, I will just go on to receive my next PO. And if I try to scan a barcode that's not on this order, it will tell me it's an invalid item. So at that point, I'll just hit OK. And now I figure out the right ones to scan. And again, this was what was on the pallet. Now, I also have some of those individual case labels, and I can, if I want to, just scan those, and it will increment accordingly.